Gundam.tk presents High Grade Ghirarga. Hey again everybody, it's Robert184, 2 R's 2 B's from Gundam Reviews.net, and Zehart's Galette has had quite a few mobile suits, but it's time to take a look at his newest one, or at least the newest one in plastic model form, in the form of the High Grade Ghirarga, which is part of the 3rd generation of Gundam Age. This is a 2012 release, and it sells for a relatively inexpensive 1,300 yen. Zehart didn't show up as a villain until the 2nd generation of Gundam Age, which meant that the early villainy was left up to Dezel in the Zetas before moving on to the Kronos. And then we got to see Zehart in a very familiar looking mobile suit, the Zetas R, which is just going to put some red parts on instead of grey, before moving into full Char territory and getting himself a mask and a red mobile suit in some custom colors with all sorts of modifications. After he went to sleep and woke up in the 3rd generation, though, he hopped right into this Ghirarga, which was giving trouble to the Earth Federation in their invasion, and even though he had his Zagok in between, he went back to this one, and you have to wonder if he's going to finish off this one, or if there isn't a Gundam-y red bad guy in his future towards the end. And don't forget that you can also pick up this kit in advanced grade, which is only going to sell for 600 yen, just under half price, and you can see that it's going to have 3 colors on there, and you can check out its full review on gundam.tk. Taking a look around the box is pretty exciting just to see how much plastic you're going to be getting here, and the cool colors there, from the red to the green to the whitish color there. The yellow to go along with the black for the inner frame. But when you look at the model, I have to say that the cover art is fantastic and the design in the anime is great. I'm not sure if from these pictures if they're going to really capture the sleekness that it's got when it's fighting in battle, but something I do have to appreciate is the fact that you've got so many colors there, from the yellow in the chest to the black to the red to the pink it's looking there, green and the spear and those clear green parts poking out all over the place, which really add a villainous and 00-ish feel to the kit. Of course, this being a high-grade Age kit, it's going to move around all over the place with incredible posing, as Bandai's keen to point out. His tail, the Ghirarga tail, is going to bend in all sorts of places, and it can attach on to the back, so nothing vestigial there. You've got a beam buster there in his chest, which is looking pretty cool. It looks like it's got multicolors there for the yellow. And one of the bonuses of his spear is that it can be split off into 2 parts there. You've got some clear parts there, but sadly they're not going to be used in the spear itself. Great posing, and if you saw that there's a lot more green parts than you may... I mean, it looks like he's got a lot sticking out all over the place, but he's got even more on the plate. And that's because when he gets angry, he can have them come out of his elbows and out of his knees, which is going to make him very infinite justicey in the amount of pain he can deal out with blades. Some information about the mobile suit itself and the Vagans and how they developed it, but take a look at these weapons. You've got the beam Vulcans in his hands, he's got a beam saber, he's got a Ghirarga spear, which is going to split into 2, the beam buster in his chest, he's going to have the Ghirarga bits, which are going to shoot out and just cause a light show, and he's got a Ghirarga tail, which is just going to do all sorts of stuff, whether it's on the back or in hand. Basically, this guy is loaded and getting to full Char level of villainy. As you can see, I'm facing off with a young Kyo in the H3 normal there. He's going to be fighting with a few other variations. And unpainted, you can see that it's not going to look as good as it did on the other side when it was painted up by a pro, but somewhat dynamic, and hopefully those green parts, even though they're mostly hidden in the back, and not that much yellow is facing forward, that they're going to show through once you actually put them on your shelf. To get inside that box, what you're going to see here is some black plates there to go along with a big red plate. Seals, some pretty big green ones there, which will be a talking point after. You're going to have some pink there, it's not white for the D, along with some Adidas striping in E, a wire there, and you're also going to be getting a big chunk of clear green. Yes, how nice would that have been in the 00 days? To go along with some more red and some black polycaps and the manual in the bottom. On first glance, this A plate is going to look incredibly detailed. This probably has a lot more parts. Of course, you could just look at the highest number there, and 35, 36-ish, which is looking very impressive. But it's more the quality and the size of these parts that are going to really pop to mind here. You can see that you're going to have some cool looking commander's antenna, just the one, so it's going properly Char there. The parts there for the head are all looking good, and then you can see that you're going to have a lot of armor, some parts there for the arms. And down here you're going to have the very familiar Vagan / UE hands with the open ones with the beam Vulcans inside, and the closed fists, which probably would have stood out a little bit more if they were in yellow. But anyway, you can see also you're going to be getting these tail parts, which are very small and detailed. You've got 5 + 2 plus a tip down there. Then you're going to have some other cool looking parts. There's a very jagged theme to this. You can see pointy parts all over the place. Everything's looking great on this A plate in terms of detail. The B plate is going to fulfill the job of just being that inner frame kind of dark gray, and you're going to see some cool looking parts on the inside, but most of this will make up the inner frame. First of all, up at the top, you've got the spear in 2 parts here, unlike the advanced grade. You do have a little line etched in it there, so if you wanted to go ahead and tape that off and paint it, I'm sure you could. And then you can see that you're going to have some other cool looking details, little parts there that have that little bit of extra etching for some cool looking details. Some very complex parts here for the shoulders or the hip mounts there. You can see down here you're going to have the parts for the waist section to put it all together. A very important black part which is going to go around the yellow and the clear green in the middle of the chest, which is looking very fantastic there, including where you're going to attach the head on, and everything else is just going to be in the forms of joints with some very small detailed parts there, and every once in a while just some little extra etching there, as you can see on the hand or manipulator back covers. The C-plate is going to wrap up the red here, and you can see that you're going to have most of the parts there for the limbs and the waist section. Nothing too exciting. It looks like they put all the good parts on the A-plate, it seems. Now, until I actually got my hands on the advanced grade and the high grade, I had no idea just how Sharish Zehart's Ghirarga is supposed to be, just in terms of the fact that they went with the second color being pink instead of white, and that was a conscious choice, I'm sure. However, it really has nothing to do with the Char pink that you're going to see on his Zaku's and everything else. But it's something that's going to stand out a little bit on the shelf compared to the red and white that we've seen a number of times before, especially on good guys like, let's say, the Orbital. But over here, you're going to have some very cool parts there to cover up the knees, etc. And these parts are probably going to go around the head. You've got your waist section parts, and you can see that there's some cool little cutouts there, which is going to be very, very cool once we move on to the F-plate. But Adidas paid good money to have their name all over these kits, and, well, I'm just joking there. But anyway, you get the idea. 3 stripes all over the place, and 5 in some cases here, but I've always been a fan of this ever since they were on the first UE suits, and I think it's going to look even better on this guy just because he's got so many details all over the place. You're going to see a lot of these on the feet, a lot of these on the legs, and of course in the shoulders, where they're going to look great whenever he's got his shoulders protruding forward. You've also got a few small details down here, like this small yellow one, but it's this part here in the chest that's going to look fantastic with the clear green and the black part on top offset with the red. It's not going to have any pink directly around it. You'd have to move up to the head for that. But still, some great looking details on a relatively, it seems like a simple plate, but I think this is really going to help bring it alive. And I wonder if there's anybody out there, if you want to throw a comment down below, has anybody put some ink in there to really get some differentiation in here? I don't think lining markers would do the job. But product placement out of the way, it's on to that all-exciting F-plate, and as I said before, if this was in 00, how great would it have been? But anyway, you can see that they put a bunch of effort into this, and you're going to have some fantastic details, because all over this guy, protruding from all of his limbs, he's going to have these clear green parts, which are really going to add just an air of menace, I suppose. And anyway, it just looks cool and sci-fi-ish. So you've got these small ones, you've got this part there for the chest, which is looking great, even though you are going to have a seal as well. But it's the bigger ones, and these ones, I figured when I saw the plates online, that they were just going to be add-ons for the spear, that you could do different things with it. But instead, as we saw in the anime, when he gets mad, Hulk gets bigger, and this guy, he just gets greener, but he just gets jagged green blades that are going to pop out between his elbow and his legs and stuff like that, which is a really cool touch. The big disappointment being, though, that you're going to have to take care of seals if you want to do the spear properly. They could have given you the option and had, if they're going to give you this much clear parts, why not just throw in an extra 2 that you can have at either end? It just seems like Bandai did 80% right, and there's another 20 that just seems to be missing out. As you can see with the seals here, first of all, these are going to be the spear parts that I was just talking about and complaining about. However, on the plus side, you are going to have that chest laser there that's going to have a cool green, 2-tone green there underneath it. Hopefully you're going to see a fair bit of that. You've got the UE eyes there looking very mysterious, and something that I'm going to withhold judgment on until I see it in action. But on the E-plate, you're supposed to have that yellow part there with all that cool looking, whatever you want to call it, flower blooming or whatever. But you're going to have a different shade of yellow, and when I looked around the box a little more carefully, it does show that this is in 2 shades. So the fact that you've got slightly different shade of yellow there may be a good thing, but then again, there may be a few people who just want to skip the seals altogether and just stick with that plastic look. And as Bandai's been doing a good job with lately with their moving parts, they've got a wire here for that very cool tail. To the manual now with that great looking cover art, and you can see the mobile suit, very good line art there, and an older, angrier Zehart who is certainly going to follow Lord Ezelcat to the end, or so it looks like, unlike some other friends on the Vagan team. Anyway, there you can see the man himself who's leading the Martians on their way back to Earth. Cool poses there with the legs up. Of course, that's going to be helped with an action base, and the double spear split apart there with the tail down. Very Epion-ish. Flit Asino certainly doesn't know that much about Zehart except for what they encountered each other in the 2nd generation, so it's going to be Kyo dealing with the brunt of his rage, it looks like. Lots of color details all over the place. It'll be good to see how many are done in plastic. And what is Kyo going to pilot? Well, he's got the normal, the Fortress, and the Orbital to take on the Vagan boss here. Here you can see that they're going to be advertising some of the same features that we've already seen around there, including the hand parts, which are going to give you the extra hands. They look to be a little bit different there anyway. You've got the green seal there for the eyes. The tail is looking great. The Beam Vulcans in hand. don't seem to stand out the same way the Zetis would in its yellow hands, and then for no particular reason it's just going to show off the regular grunt Danazine, and if you want to paint it up, sure enough, it is white 95% with pink 5% and a little bit of yellow there if you want to bring out its second color. Inside we go, where you can see that there's a lot of plates for 1300 yen, including those clear green parts which just seem like a bonus. And after you put together the chest and the head there's a lot of seals on that yellow part, sure enough. You're going to put the arms together, and after you've got the legs, you've got the mobile suit together, and then it's just trying to put on the thrusters onto the backpack. And the last page is going to be in color here. You can see that you put the striping in, put those thrusters on the back, which should be able to move around a fair bit. And then you're going to pinch the wire into the tail and then put on all of these individual parts ×2 ×5 when you're plugging it in, and then you've got that final tip. That's going to fit on there and cover up the beam Vulcans in the hand. Very unfortunate again that you're going to have to cover up this spear with seals, which is just disappointing. You can pop it into that custom hand that they mentioned earlier, and if you want to make them even more fearsome, you'll pop off the elbow and the knee covers, and then you'll put on that clear green part. And it's very cool that you're going to have the green protruding forward and still have that green part in there. Especially if you twist the arm forward, you're going to see it a lot more. Same idea there for the knees, and Action Base 2 is your friend, and cool poses, whether he's got the spear in 1 or 2, will be at your disposal. Anyway, everybody, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for lots more good guys, bad guys, and everything else that comes out in AG and HG from Age. See ya. When I look at the number of colors in his plates, it makes me weep.